G'day and welcome to Beyond Sobriety, a podcast where you'll hear real stories of recovery and resilience come to life. I'm Michael and I'm an alcoholic, your host and fellow journeyer on the road to sobriety. As someone who has walked the path of addiction and found solace in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, I understand the challenges and triumphs that come with striving for sobriety. And it's with this understanding and empathy that we've created this podcast. Our purpose here at Beyond Sobriety is simple yet profound: to provide a platform where individuals can share their experience with alcoholism openly and authentically. Through candid conversation, personal narrative, and expert insights, we aim to inspire hope, foster understanding, and offer a beacon of light to those still navigating the shadows of addiction. We'd love for you to be a part of this growing community. If you find value in the stories that you hear today, please consider liking and leaving a comment and sharing this episode with somebody who might benefit from hearing it. Your support will help spread the message of hope and resilience to more people who need it. I'm Michael and I'm an alcoholic, and this is Beyond Sobriety. All right, Bhal, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Bhal Chandra. Everyone call me Bhal, and I'm an alcoholic. Grace of God and support of the wonderful AA fellowship. I'm sober since 2nd of February 2020. That makes 5 years and a few more days. I'm 40 years old. I work as a welding supervisor, certified welding supervisor. I'm a tradie. That's my background.
So you had your 5th birthday recently, yeah?
Yeah, 2nd of February.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really good. So if you're 40, that obviously means that you came into, sobriety when you were 35.
Yes.
And what was the environment towards alcohol in your family as a child?
Yeah, I grew up in an alcoholic household. My father himself, I believe he's an alcoholic. He doesn't believe that, but I personally believe he's an alcoholic. He drinks. He's 74 now. He still drinks. But what I have the memories from my childhood is his drinking usually changed his behavior completely. And when he's under the influence, he was quite violent, abusive, irrational, and his violence was quite fearful. My younger sister, who is 6 years younger than me, and my mom, we always suffered because of his violence and his alcoholism. So it was a whole different world before 6 p.m. in our house and after 6 p.m. My father used to get drunk.
So was that when he got home from work or when he started drinking?
That's the time when he gets home from work. And on his day off, which was Thursday, on his day off, he would drink in afternoon and again at night. So what's pretty much every evening, and then on Thursdays, evening and the lunch and whole day. Yeah, pretty much. So we lived around that fear of him, as well as that affected my mom's behavior completely because she couldn't leave him because of us, because we took kids to her. And then at the same time, she had to cope up with all his troubles he was creating. So she kind of became quite irritating person, quite violent, abusive. So there was always fights between them, and that anger sometimes used to burst out on me because I was the eldest one. My sister got escaped because she was 6 years younger than me, but I was always been victim of their rage and anger.
So you blame your dad's behavior for the way that your mum was as well?
Yeah, it affected my mom badly. And my father actually always said, I get drunk because of your mom's behavior. And my mom said, my behavior is weird or irritating, or I'm aggressive because of your father's drinking. And I was not in that position I had no idea what was going on. I lived with a fear.
How old were you in this time?
That's since childhood. Since I have good memories, it's always been my house was like that. Grandmother used to stay with us. Whenever she was around, there was between 3 of them. They would argue, fight, a lot of throwing things away, throwing plates full of food. Yeah, they're flying. And that was just scared us all the time. And it was a lot of shame and guilt around it because next day morning when you would get out of your house, you would be I used to think like, how the people looking at me, have they heard what happened last night? Sometimes others have to come resolve the issues in our house or take away my father from my mom or me because he was so violent that they had to intervene and stop him or take his...
So this is not police, just people, in the community,
neighbors, yeah.
In the neighbours. So was it like high density living, or was it?
Yeah, it's in India, so it was quite high dense living. A few years I know that of when we were renting, and then when we had our own place, even then it was you can hear exactly what's happening in your next door. That's how close the housing, especially in the cities, quite dense population and the small homes.
Well, look, at least you had decent neighbours that tried to help.
Yeah, it wasn't just us. There were a few other families. The male in their families used to get drunk and was sort of drama. Sometimes my mom would go and help them, or sometimes they would come and help us. And but not all the families were like that. But our family was definitely like that. Every now and then, neighbors had to intervene and rescue us.
Yeah. Did you ever get like physically struck, or was it just verbal, or?
Now, 90% physical.
Okay.
Verbal was just the beginning, and then it would end up in physical, like both by mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still have a relationship with your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he's still actively drinking, how is your mum and dad going?
Because of age now, he's drinking, not in control, but he's quiet. He just drink by himself and he just sit on his own because he got some other physical ailment that his mobility not that great. So he's pretty much at home. So he would just go out on his small scooter that I have bought for him, buy his booze, sit home quietly, get drunk, eat and sleep. But because of his age now, because he's getting older, it wasn't like that when he was young, like in his 40s or 30s or 50s, even in 60s. It's quite violent.
Now, what's interesting is obviously you had a very negative, relationship with alcohol as a child, but yet you obviously picked up anyway because you identify as an alcoholic. When did you first pick up drinking?
I was 17.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was 17 years old. Yeah, we won a basketball tournament because when I started my apprenticeship as a 17, the company I started my apprenticeship, it's a big name in India, and they have this tournament going on industrial that every company has their own team. And I was representing the company I was doing my apprenticeship in, and we won that tournament. And then they gave us like a 10,000 rupees to just go and have fun. It's more about go and eat, not the drink, because we all were underage. We were all under 18, except our coach and couple of senior players. So we were not supposed to be drinking, but because everyone else was drinking, I picked up on that day. Just the one glass of beer. It wasn't even the full glass of beer or what we call midi here. It wasn't even that. Even half of the midi. That's how much I had on my first drink, I remember.
And how did that affect you? Did you instantly enjoy it? Was it only that half drink and then you stopped, or what happened?
No, I just had that half drink, and after that I had to go home. It was just more of a peer pressure because everyone was drinking. I didn't want it to be left out. Others were having it. I had it.
Yeah.
And after that one glass, I didn't drink at all. Like after that, I had a good meal, and then that's it. I went home. I did not drink after that. I was a bit actually fearful that I was checking my breath that it can tell the alcohol, because I was a bit fearful of my parents. What if they got to know that I'm drunk or I had a beer? But that didn't happen. I went home straight away, and then I slept in, and next day morning I was back to the work.
I've heard other people say the first drink they had, they were addicted and hooked, and it was a blackout. But obviously that wasn't you. It was just an occasion. You had that, no big deal, and you kept on going.
Maybe the amount I had was very less.
Yes.
Also, there wasn't enough supply. Was just all the team members, and we had a few bottles, and then we had classes.
I understand.
Then we had to spare the money for food as well. So there wasn't enough alcohol. That was the reason.
For context, how much is, what did you say, 10,000 rupees? How much is that in Australian dollars?
$200 or something.
Okay.
So a bit less than 200.
Look, it's a pretty good amount then. It's not too bad.
Yeah, but we were like 14, 15 of us.
Yeah.
The whole basketball team, then the coach, then the physio, and the...
So you're 17, you're living in India, you're doing your welding apprenticeship?
Yes.
And you're still living at home?
No, I was actually at the hostel.
Oh, you're at a hostel?
As I was at the company hostel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on that day, but after that game, every Wednesday we had Thursday off.
Yes.
Just a 6-day work and Thursday off. So I used to stay 6 days in a hostel. On Wednesday night, I used to go back home.
Yes.
And Thursday evening, I would come back into my hostel. So Friday morning, I can start again. So every week, Thursday, I would spend with my parents. So, yeah.
So that's in your late teens. How did you manage through life in your early 20s?
Yeah. So that was my first time when I drank without any trouble. My second time, when I was 18 and a half or 19, then I started my work. I finished my apprenticeship. I joined as a full-time employee for this company where I did my apprenticeship. I got like my first pay, and along with my close friends, my best buddies, most of them are here. At that age, when I was 18 plus, I was making like decent money every month, because the company I did my apprenticeship was one of the biggest name, Tata Motors, and it was a good money, like 8,000 rupees when engineers weren't even getting outside that much money. And I was just a welder and I was getting that much money. So on my first pay, we just went out, and that was my first blackout. We got drunk, and then I literally don't know how did I. Last thing I know, I had taken my father's scooter, like a two-wheeler, and the last thing I know, those not the one with the button start, those one with you have to kick it to start it, the old school ones. And I remember the last thing I remember that someone else, I couldn't hold it by myself. So I remember after the party that someone else kicked it for me, turned it on. And when it's on, he helped me to get on the scooter. And after that, I don't remember anything. How did I got home?
So I have to laugh because you couldn't start the scooter. So your friend started it for you because you couldn't start the scooter because you're so drunk. So your friend started it for you to get you on it to get home.
And literally
nothing
after
like good
that,
friends.
And he's here. He's in Australia. Yeah. And after that, I remember at all. Like then I got home. Next morning, I remember when I woke up, I did not have any headache or anything. But I was a bit surprised because I don't remember and I was home safe. So I thought it's a fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any recollections of memory that how did I get home, but I'm safe and I feel like I'm a winner that I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I was fearful because my parents figured out that I was drunk last night. I don't know how, but they knew that I was drunk because I think I vomited on the scooter because the scooters are like, they have a place for resting your foot.
Okay.
And that was full of my puke. That's how they find out. And then, I realized later that I have to go and wash it, the scooter. Yeah, I think that's why they find out because I was smelling badly because of puke and everything. But when I wake up, I was in my room. We had a share room between me and my sister. And my sister woke me up, I remember. No one was talking to me because everyone was upset, like my mom, dad, and sister. Inside, deep down, I was like, I'm a winner. I got home safe. I don't remember how did I got home. And I had fun with my friends.
Yeah.
So on the outside, I was fearful, but at the inside, I was very, very happy. I felt like I'm a winner. I enjoyed it. That was my second time, and that was my first blackout.
Well, it's the first time you could really drink properly without any restrictions or having to get anywhere.
I was over 18. We could sit in a bar properly and get drunk. No one would ask us because I had driving license and everything by then.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, I was below 17. So I was just offered a glass of beer and that's it. And I had to stop. But the second time was my own money. No one was there to ask me the question. I had permission to drink, get drunk. I was always hated my father. So I really didn't care what he thinks. I had a bit of fear that what he would say. But honestly, I really didn't much care about what he would say or anything because I knew the answers. If he asked me the question, I would have asked the same question. What do you do when you get drunk? Why you drink then?
Yeah.
I was prepared. That cassette was going on in my head all the time because I knew I'm going to show this man one day. I knew. But that was the day, yeah. And he didn't ask me a single question. He did not. That's the funny thing. I was expecting him to be bust out on me. But he did not ask a single question because he had the same fear probably that I would ask him, why you drink?
Well, yeah, when you're a drunk yourself, you can't exactly blame anybody else for being a drunk.
Yeah.
So did this drinking behavior continue like this or was that a one-off?
By then, close friends of mine, the very few of us were close to each other and we used to drink occasionally. And most of the time I used to avoid going home after get drunk. I would rather go to my friend's place and sleep. Like if I have to go home, I would drink in a manner that no one will find out. Or I would have a specific drink. There's a couple of brands in India, the vodka brands, the Indian made brands. They don't smell. So I used to drink this. They're called Romanov vodka. And that's what I used to drink because it doesn't smell.
So you started hiding it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Because you enjoyed it that first time. You felt like a winner and you wanted to obviously continue to feel that way.
Yep. Well, while drinking, I was introduced to smoking. So I started cigarettes. And I used to smoke only when I used to get drunk. Yeah, but that was like, I would say, every fortnight or after every 3 weeks, we would gather. And with the same close friends, we started the process for Australia, migration process at the age of 18, 19. So we were used to together most of the time to do the English study and collect all the paperwork and all that. So every time when the stressful situation comes or anything, I just get drunk. Drunk in a mean like have a couple of beers and 2 long necks and that's it. Then I would go home. That's at the start.
When were you successful in your, application to come to Australia?
I was 22, 23. It
So
took
it's-
3.5 years
Took about 3.5 years.
to do the whole process.
Yeah.
That was quite a stressful time for me because I wasn't sure it will get granted or not. At the same time, I was working hard, so I had to continue that job as well. And I paid a lot of hefty money for process, do the Australian process. I had to prepare for the IELTS exam. My schooling's done in our mother tongue, so we studied English only for 5 years. So I had to prepare a lot for English to pass that exam, because without passing that exam, I wouldn't have get the visa.
Yes.
So this everything was going together. There's a lot of stress around it. At the same time, my father's alcoholism was quite at peak at that time because he was drinking badly, and was a lot of tension between him and me because I was earning money and always hated him. So every time he's around, we're pretty much always on the terms of crossing each other's point and arguing with each other's. Yeah, we were never on the same page.
And did you come to Australia by yourself?
Yes,
So no one.
no one.
You're 22, 23?
No, 24.
So you're 24
Yeah,
and you moved internationally by yourself.
yep.
How was that? That's gonna be daunting.
Yeah, it's
Or was it exciting? What,
It was
how
exciting.
did you
It
feel?
was exciting. The only aspect when I was in India, I had no clue about Australia. I never internationally traveled before, not even the interstate traveled before that. So when I came to Australia first time, that was the first time I left my state. And the only reason I came here was the money, because I knew that the dollar value is high. So basically my plan was come here, make money, save money, invest in India, do start up some business or something, or study. That was my intention to come to Australia. But when I came here, I was 24, I was quite young, got into the workforce straight away. In second week, I got the job as a welder because welder is always in demand in Australia. And my thinking completely changed. Like I adapted that drinking culture, Australian culture, very quickly because I love drinking.
Mm.
The place I worked was close to a pub in Smithfield. So after work, we used to drive straight to the pub. Yeah, I would have beers with everyone, and I would wait others to go so I can drink more and I can stack up for a night and then drive home.
So when do you think your drinking became a problem? Was it in India or when you came to Australia?
When I came to Australia, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because when in India, it was a problem, but I couldn't drink successfully. My definition of successfully, that because I had my parents with me and I had to answer someone.
I guess that's an interesting. How do you drink successfully at all?
Yeah, I can't.
Is
I
it-
wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I was successful then because out of fear, I was drinking in a limit.
Yes.
So it wasn't like by my choice, but just because of fear of parents. And then I had to continue my job. I had to continue the process. I had to keep my record clean. I didn't want any cases or police case or anything against me because I wanted to come here. So I was with that fear I lived, and that I would just drink when my close friends are around, and I would drink in a limit. But since what I realized, since the second time when I picked up drink, my drinking was absurd. I used to drink faster than others. I've preferred to drink to show off others that I can drink more.
Yeah.
I drank more than others. I always found the excuses to drink, and any emotional imbalance, unhappiness or happiness, that used to take me to the drink. Like I would not deal with it. I couldn't deal with it. I used to pick up the drink over it.
So to ask you, I guess, a bit of a cultural question here. In the Australian culture and how I grew up, it was very much seen as a mark of honour if someone could drink a lot and still be able to hold their own and still not show it. And it was kind of saying, I can hold my drink. Was that the same as what it was in India? Is that what I'm hearing?
In youngster it is.
Yeah.
They love to show off that they can drink more and still be functional. But that's what their delusion. That's what my delusion was.
Mm.
But people around me knew that I was falling apart. Started the physical issues because of my drinking. I got into an accident on a two-wheeler. At the same time, I started living with fear, a lot of fear, that what others will think of me, what if they find out, what my parents will think of me. But at the same time, I couldn't stop drinking because I love that effect of alcohol. I wanted to show the world that I'm part of them, like my close friend. Like if everyone else is drinking, and if I'm not drinking, that's mean I feel like I'm not good enough. So that peer pressure was always there. But once Once I picked up, I remember once I picked up that it was never enough. Once I picked up,
Yeah.
I always wanted more.
So this happened obviously in Smithfield when you first got to Australia. You started drinking with your work colleagues, and you weren't restricted because you didn't have to come home to parents or anything like that.
Yes.
You weren't accountable to anybody, and that was when you're early to mid 20s. So you still got 11 years to go before you decided to join AA or you can contemplate sobriety. What happened in your life to lead you to progress to drinking more recklessly and more often?
Yeah, so as life progressed, I was working. At the same time, I started the part-time studies. I took up the courses in TAFE. Some of them I did successfully completed. Some of them because of my drinking, I couldn't, because I couldn't focus on the study work, the classes. I would to skip the classes. At the same time, the things were happening in India, like I had to support my family, because when I came here, my father stopped working. So I had the responsibility of my whole family. So I was sending them money, but I was expecting them to use it or invest it, or I wanted pretty much control on everything.
You wanted to control, did you say?
Yes, I wanted to control my parents' behavior or their spending, especially my father's, because he was drinking badly, and I was in a perception that he's just having fun and using my money, he's getting drunk. But at the same time, I was sending money because they're completely dependent on me. I knew it because they didn't have any insurance or any savings or anything, except besides the house they live in. They didn't have anything. At the same time, I was investing money in India, so I worked in 2 jobs. I was pushing hard. I was lonely. That part which I later on realized when I came into the AA and I started working on steps, that my character defects, that not being good enough, not able to talk to the another females or the girls or express myself. Yeah, so I was quite a lonely person. So I tried to focus more on work and then get drunk because I wasn't expressive. I carried a lot of resentments for my parents even then. Any situation that's against my expectation was a trigger for me by then.
So how often would you drink at this point?
So it's kind of at beginning I would drink on the weekend when I came to Australia.
Yes.
But it quickly escalated to everyday drinking. Like I would not drink heavily during the week, but the weekends were heavy to the point it comes like every day, very quickly. Within a couple of years, I was drinking every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
And was this a lot? You were drinking to blackout? Were you still living alone?
No, I was living in the share accommodation.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the time I love to drink till get blackout. There's very few occasions I remember that I successfully stopped drinking. There must be some reason whether we had to go somewhere but most of the time I would pick up a day and a time and a place from where I will not have to drive, or I can be quiet. There will be enough alcohol and a good company, and then I would continue drinking till morning. Would watch movies or dance but sometimes it was fun, but there come a point where I started drinking by myself. I enjoy drinking in pub, communicate with new people. Yeah, but mostly I prefer to drink alone. Even in the pub, I started drinking alone. On the way home, I would still take some more beers or alcohol, whatever I want to drink. I wasn't fixed on anything. Like I would drink beer or anything. It depends how much money I have. If I have more money, I would go for a black label or any expensive spirit. If I have less money, then I would buy a cheap wine, whatever fits in. But I need something to get sleep.
Yeah, I was the same. I would drink anything. It wouldn't matter what it was. And if my wife was away for a week or a weekend because she was visiting her parents, then I'll get some of the nicer stuff. I'll put it in the fridge and drink civilized. And, for people who can't see me, I was doing the air quotes because it wasn't civilized at all. But I'll drink to stuff that was a bit more tastier. But at the end of the day, it was all just about getting drunk.
Yeah.
That was the goal. Like it was a bonus. Like in business, I've started doing a bit of work a few years ago where I'm a part of like an executive team now, and we have all these people who've done business degrees, and they talk in terms of, what's a necessity and what's nice to have and what's like a bit of a bonus when we're looking at a new program or a new feature for, say, software. For me, the necessity was getting drunk. It was nice to have something tasty, but that was just a nice to have. And depending on how desperate I was for a drink at the time was depending on how much I cared what it tasted like, as long as it gave me that effect.
Yeah, definitely the effect was the optimum. Like more need effect, and then could sleep after that. Blackout, basically. Many times I did not even eat. I would just get drunk, and I don't remember when I passed out until I woke up in the middle of the night, and then I would still search the bottle around me if there is anything left in it,
Yeah.
and I'll gulp it again, and then I'll sleep again.
So I've asked this question to a few people, but what were you running from? What was the drink solving? What problem was this solving for you? Because when I got drunk, it was running from a situation. I was very unhappy, but the unhappiness was all in my head. Like I can realize now after working through the steps, being sober for a number of years, working with a sponsor, I can see that my unhappiness was all inside of me, and I was the one I was unhappy with. I was the one that I was unhappy with. But at the time I couldn't handle life, and I was so unhappy, and that's what I was escaping. What do you think you were escaping?
I had no idea then why I was drinking. All I knew that I can't stop and I need to drink to be functional. So I got drunk and then created more troubles because of my drinking, and I drank over again. But after coming, as you said, like in fellowship and working with my sponsor, reading big book with my sponsor, I got a lot of answers that I always compared myself with others. I always lived with false beliefs since childhood. That comparison brought me to a point where I realized, or not realized, there was a delusion that I'm less than others. Things could have been better if my parents had done this, or if my father hadn't drunk and focused a bit more on my studies or supported me in my studies. Also, that comparison was these others are successful and I'm failure. My friends were getting married and I couldn't speak to the girls. I'm less than others. So that's not good enough fear. Comparison with others, a lot of resentments for my parents. I liked someone in India. This girl was living in a couple of blocks away from me, and she was actually my classmate's elder sister, but I liked her so much. And my classmate knew that, and I couldn't tell her. And I was feeling like I carried that a long time, that much. I had a lot of fear as well, like stupid fears, like unknown fears. I'm gonna die of a disease that I had nothing to do with it, but I always fearful of it, that I'm gonna get this particular disease, I'm gonna die with this disease. I don't know how that fear got into me, but I live with that fear whole my 20s and 30s. I live with that fear. There is a lot of resentment for my parents because they put my sister in a Christian missionary school, which was super expensive. They paid a lot of fees for education, extra classes, tutors, everything what she needed. Whereas I was studied in a public school, which was basically free. I didn't have to spend a single penny on it. And I live with that comparison, that why would you do that? Like in India, what happens is a cultural difference, not like here, that the boys get the best thing in the family and the girls gets ignored.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems against the cultural norm of what I would know for the Indian society.
Area I lived in, the society I lived in, everyone, my close friends and everyone, the boys were in the good school, the good English medium school, good food, good clothes, good shoes, everything. And the girls were sitting home, not doing much. They just waiting till turn 18. All my cousins and everyone, all the girl cousins and everyone. And as soon as they turn 18, they will get married. That's it. But in my family, it was different. I was completely ignored. And my sister, who was 6 years younger than me, and she got everything like she born with a silver spoon. And I always said that to her. And I always blame my parents. Like, you could have spent a bit more money on my education, or you could have sent me like good schools. But they had a good, like, when I think back now, when I born, their financial situation was so bad that even did not have a roof on her head. So basically, I lived with my mother's. They dropped me at my mother's father's place. So he was feeding me. He dropped me to a public school because he didn't want to spend money on me, because my father did not have our own place to live. His own place to live. But when my sister born, after 6 years, things had changed. My father had a permanent job. He didn't get a good job, but he had enough money. So he thought, I would at least send one of my kid to a good school. That was his intention. So he did a great job with my sister, even with me. But while I'm drinking, I live with that thought long period of time that I am an unwanted child, or they didn't care about me, whereas they always love my sister. And I'm the one still taking all the responsibilities, and they don't have any gratitude for it.
Well, look, because like regardless of the cultural norm, where they might have, I guess, a lot of people in India might have a preferential treatment towards their sons. Regardless of that cultural aspect, children see things unfair if they see one of their siblings get something that they feel like they're missing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you a story about my brothers and sisters. We had Christmas and my brother got together and he added up how much my parents spent on each one of us. And then it was, you must be the favorite because you had the most because each one of your toys was more expensive, and then like he ranked them. Now, it wouldn't have even been like that. I know my parents quite well. They don't show favoritism in that aspect, but he saw that as an injustice. And so what my parents did was next year, no one gets anything for Christmas.
Yeah.
So we skipped Christmas, I think, the next year. But then we always had a rule that everybody has to buy one present for every other person, and we all had a budget and stuff. But yeah, if there's a sibling rivalry and one sibling is seen to have received more than the other one, it can lead to a large amount of resentment.
Yeah, I did not have resentment for my sister.
Yes.
But she's 6 years younger than me, and she loves me so much. And I felt like my parents were unfair. They
Yes.
could have put a bit more attention. So while drinking, I always had those thoughts in my head, like they didn't care about me. Also, I carried a lot of guilt and shame of few things since my childhood that I was exposed to, or things happened with me. It wasn't my fault at all. It's someone else's fault. I had become victim of it, and I carried that a long period of time. And then I always felt like just poor me. It's only happened with me, and that affected my life. Otherwise, things would have been different. That's what my thinking was. And I drank over it. Some of the things I did in my past as a kid, I felt like I'm a very bad person. And I was ashamed of it for a while. And then I wouldn't share that with anyone. I felt like I'm alone and I'm the weird person. Yeah, and I drank over it over and over again. The one good thing is when I did step work and I was utterly honest with my sponsor, I shared things with him. This is what I've done. And at the same time, when I was hearing others sharing in AA, and I thought I'm not the only one and I'm not a bad person. I was young, I made mistakes. They're not that big mistakes. Like I heard the stories that even worse than me. It doesn't make me better than others. But yeah, I shouldn't have blamed that long period of time for myself. But I didn't know then. Like I was drinking over it. I drank over it for a long period of time. But it's just the AA which actually showed me the mirror and showed me there is good things in me too. Don't need to carry that past all the way.
Hi everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. This podcast is all about sharing real stories of resilience, recovery, and hope. Stories that remind us that we're not alone in this journey. If you'd like to support this work and help us reach more people, there are a few simple ways you can make a difference. Take a moment to like this episode, leave a comment, or share it with someone who you think might benefit from hearing it, whether it's a friend, family member, or somebody in your recovery community. Your support could touch the lives and inspire someone in their road to sobriety. Your stories are important. They remind us that we are not alone and help us all stay sober. What we're doing here creates a space where people can share their experiences, feel understood, and find inspiration to keep moving forward. By supporting the show, you're helping to amplify those voices and ensure that more people who need to find this message can. If you'd like to share your story and be interviewed, please email me at beyondsobrietyaa@gmail.com. Every journey is unique, and your experience could be exactly what someone needs to hear to find hope, strength, or inspiration. This podcast thrives on real stories from real people, and your voice has the power to make a difference in somebody's life. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to connect and discuss how your story can be a part of Beyond Sobriety. Thank you for your support. Together we can continue to make a difference. Now, let's get back to the episode. That's what I love about the rooms is you hold on to your secrets, your deep, dark, dirty secrets that you don't want anybody else to know, that you're ashamed of, and you think nobody else has done anything worse. And then you hear somebody stand up and they share something 10 times worse than what you've ever thought, or something even exactly the same as what you've done. And it's not that it's made light of, but we all understand and we all get it. And so it's just no big deal. Like some people got up there and said the most like, I got in a car accident and, I nearly killed someone or ended up in jail. And I'm there going, I thought I was bad doing this, but check out this guy. And it's not to judge, but it's just saying that's where the drink leads you.
Yeah.
And there's no No judgment in the room. I was going to ask, what got you to the point where you said this is not sustainable anymore? It looks like to me, from an outside observer, that you started to go down the same path as what your dad had gone down, drinking every day. You know, his lifestyle was awaiting you. You've done a massive geographical change. You've left your country. You've gone to escape all that, but yet you can't get away from yourself, your resentments. You're still drinking. What led you to go, I can't do this anymore?
I never thought that I need help. I always blamed the situation, others, past, mostly myself. And I lived with that and I drank over and over again. And then I got married. My drinking escalated because there was issue between my ex-wife and my parents. They weren't on the good term with each other. That affected our lives, though they were far away. They were in India. My parents are in India. We were here. That's happened in 2013. I got married.
Sorry. So there was an issue between your current wife and your parents who are in a different continent.
Yep.
That must have been a pretty big issue.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Or a pretty small one of the two.
And
sorry to laugh about it. It's funny family dynamics, isn't it? What people get upset about.
Cultural difference and expectations.
Is she the same nationality as you?
Yes, yeah. We actually. So she is my mom's cousin's niece.
Oh, there you go.
And my mom's cousin actually set us together, and it's an arranged marriage. We never met before that.
Okay.
It's an arranged marriage. Yeah, but after marriage, I thought things would change. To that point, I was introduced to drugs as well.
Okay.
It was a bit of part of my story. I stopped them in 2017, 18. But it was a part of my story for a while. But mostly I used drugs just so I can drink more. But that progression affected my life completely. I wasn't faithful with my wife because of my alcoholism. I wasn't faithful with her. She found out that I was cheating on her. And there was never love in the family. Like, we got a kid together. There were many incidents where my alcoholism or under the influence, I come to a point I was quite violent, abusive. Yeah, that's affected badly. And then at work, I wasn't performing well. But I was at a position where I had a lot of responsibilities. I was leading a team, taking care of quality control and assurance, the company I was working for. So they decided to send me to a psychiatric treatment. That was 2018 or 19. They said, you need to go to this. So the company was paying for it. And I thought, it's a fun. Just go and skip the work, go at the work time, see this doctor. And she was telling me exercises, and she had given me medication. She figured out that I have ADHD. And I said, yeah, that's the reason that I'm drinking. That's what she said. But that whole thing went on for 9 to 10 months. Eventually, she said to me, you need to go to AA meeting. You're not going to stop. Because I was taking the medication she had given to me. At the same time, I was drinking.
Mm. And depending on the medication, that can be quite harmful.
I was on dexaphetamine or something like that, yeah.
Because I went to a doctor myself, and he said, oh, look, you can take this, but only after you stop drinking. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Didn't stop. I just took it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what she said to me. And I had both going on. I was lying to her.
Oh, of course.
But she was the first person who asked me to go to AA meetings. I did not bother to find out what is AA. And then my boss asked me to go to AA meeting. That was in 2018. I didn't bother. I said, no, I don't have problem with alcohol. It's just the time and the situation and the people in my life at the moment. That's why I'm struggling. But at the same time, in my personal life, my marriage was falling apart. My ex-wife was going back and forth to India because we weren't happy. My drinking got escalated to a point where I started to get on and off in hospitals. My first drink and drive offense was in 2013. That was a low range drink and drive offense. After that, I said, I'm not going to drive after this, but I was still drinking and driving every day under the influence. I used to drink in the corner pub in Liverpool with this German kid. And we used to meet there at the same time. We would drink together. And he used to tell me, you need to go to AA. This guy was younger than me, 10 years younger than me. And he used to tell me, you need to go to AA.
And he was your drinking buddy.
We were drinking together.
You know it's bad, but somebody that you're drinking with is telling you that you need to go to AA.
I used to get upset over it. I used to say, like, you can't keep up with my pace. That's why you're asking me to go to AA. Because you can't drink the way I drink or the way
He's just jealous. I'm making you look bad, so you want to get rid of me.
Yeah.
What was your first AA meeting like?
My first AA meeting, I was sent to the first AA meeting by correction officer.
Okay.
So that was in 2019, March, when my wife called the police on me. She had called police several times before that. but she never pressed the charges against me. But on that particular incident, she pressed the charges against me. It was just that she said, no, he pushed me under the influence. I'm pretty sure I did not, but I had in past. I was violent towards her. On that particular instance, I did not touch her, but I was violent towards her in past. I remember that. Yeah, and then I got convicted for that in 2019 in court because I had my lawyer and everything, but on the day of hearing, I was in Liverpool court, standing in front of a judge, pretty messed up. Like anyone could on that day look at me and tell me that he's under the influence. So I was drinking whole night the day I had to attend the court.
So you're drunk while you're in court as well?
Yeah, so I drank whole night and I was standing in the court, and as soon as my lawyer looked at me, he said, have you been drinking?
You weren't fooling anyone.
And he said to me, try not to speak too much. Just answer the questions, whatever you will be asked. Try not to speak too much. That was his wise advice.
Yeah.
Judges, they're not dumb. He find out straight away, and he didn't listen to me at all. And I was convicted. I was told to see the correction officers. Correction officers gave me a piece of paper, asked me to attend a AA meeting. And eventually that's how I was suggested, advised, recommended strongly by psychiatrist, my drinking buddy, my boss. But eventually I got into AA because of the correction officers, because I needed a signature on a piece of paper. And that was in April or May of 2019. And I attended my first meeting. That was in Liverpool, Dr. Prairie Hall meeting. It was Sunday morning or Saturday morning, Sunday morning, I believe. And I was drunk. In my first two meetings, I was drunk, 100%.
Don't feel too bad. So was I.
Yeah, I was drunk. I don't know. Unfortunately, on that day, I felt like everyone is old here and they just can't handle the drink anymore. That's why they're here. And I thought I'm not that old and I still have time for party. So I thought it's not for me. Yeah, that's how I attended my first meeting. In my second meeting, I was drunk. But one of the members from Richmond, he bought a big book for me. It was $18 he spent on it. And I said, I'll give you the money return. He said, don't give me the money. I have written my number at the back of the book. Call me when you're sober, when you're not under the influence. I didn't call him or I didn't read the book. But I'm still using the same big book. I still have that big book.
It worked.
It works. I took it too long time to open it. Yeah, after second meeting, I didn't go to the meeting. Yeah, and my drinking progressed. I had ABOs and DBOs within that time. I shouldn't have seen my ex-wife when I was drinking and driving. And then I got into a couple of days after court hearing, I got into my second drink and drive offense. And this time it was mid-range. Yeah, and that was I lost the license. I was unemployable. I had ABOs and DBOs that I shouldn't have seen my son and ex-wife, but I was every day, because she lives in the next building. Every day I was going there and banging on her door, and she was threatening me to call the police. And she was ringing my friends and asking them to tell me not to do that, otherwise she will call the police. And if she had called the police, probably I would have ended up in prison, but she didn't, luckily. Yeah, that's how I attended my first two meetings. And eventually my friend, I had no one here to look after me. I was drinking 24/7. In this apartment, everywhere were bottles. I don't know how I passed out, got into hospitals. My parents didn't know what to do. My sister didn't know what to do. She loves me so much. She was so frustrated, and she was suicidal. She wanted to kill herself in India because she loves me so much. My parents, they're old and they don't care, they have their own problems. She's the only one who loved me so much. A couple of good friends of me, they are not in AA. They really stood behind me all the time during my tough time. And three of them and my sister, they decided to send me to India. They arranged someone who was going at the same time to India. They booked my ticket with him. So he took me to India and handed over to my sister. And my sister dropped me in the rehab in India. That's how it started. And when I got into rehab in India, they said the same thing. They took me to AA meeting again in India. I thought, I loved the meetings then. There's a bit of a difference. AA is same everywhere in the world, no matter you do in Australia or in India. I got more connected in India because they were in my mother tongue. So I was communicating with members in my mother tongue, and in my own city, I was safe. I was in rehab. Yeah, so that's after 7 or 8 months, I got back into the meetings. But it didn't stop then. I thought I would be okay if I don't pick up the drink. The 12th of December 2019, my sister was getting married. And I did all the expenses because everything was on me. I'm the only one who was earner. So I arranged everything. Something happened on that day with my brother-in-law's elder brother, and between me and him, we had got in an argument. It's a cultural thing. They weren't happy with the arrangements. Some words were exchanged. I wasn't happy with that. And more important than that, I had a bit of argument with my mom. I wasn't happy with the way they behaved with some of my relatives. And that was enough trigger for me. When all the ceremony finished, I dropped my parents so much straight into the bar.
So you had not been drinking and then you had a relapse.
Yeah, so in 3 or 4 months actually,
Yep.
in between that, and that was 12th of December 2019, and I continued drinking for 1.5 months. And in 22nd of January 2020, I decided to come back to Australia. And I said, I'm just going to go back, start work, and everything will be fine. I'm going to start new life. I thought I'm not going to pick up the drink. So I drank a lot on Mumbai International Airport. And I said, this is my last drink. Then I picked up the flight from there to Singapore. There was a cricket match was going on. And I said, I'm going to watch this cricket match within that 4-hour transition between Sydney flight and the Mumbai flight. And after that, I'm not going to drink. As soon as I land in Sydney, that's it. This is my last drink. When I landed in Sydney, I bought 2 bottles from duty free and I said, this is my last 2 bottles. And I was only going to drink this with my close friends.
So that's 3. That's 3 last drinks so far.
Yeah. I had a clear determination that I'm going to drink with my close friends.
Yep.
And I was sipping that in the train from airport to Ingleburn. I couldn't wait till I meet my friends.
Yeah, you're back on it. Yep.
Straight away. And I lasted only for 5 days in Australia. During that period, I had to move 3 different places in 5 days because no one wanted me. Because I was drinking continuously, I was vomiting, I wasn't eating. So my friends took another decision to get a ticket for me and send back to me in India. That was 26th or 27th of January 2020. And I landed in 2nd of February in second rehab. And that's since then my journey started. In this second rehab, they said the same thing. You need to do the meetings. This rehab was worse. It wasn't like fancy one, what we have here. They were beating people. You had to clean up your own toilets. Food was good enough.
Sorry
They only didn't beat me because I have Australian passport. They was a bit fearful of me. So they just
you
pulled
got some
me.
status, a bit of street cred.
Yeah, I was a foreigner for them, so they didn't beat me. But they pulled me in a corner and they said, look, you don't try to be hero or you don't try to lead the other guys. Don't be demanding and we won't touch you. That's where I learned that I need help.
Yeah.
From there on, 4.5 months, I believe I stayed in there. But when I came out of the rehab, there was a lockdown. I couldn't fly back to Australia.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I was stuck in India. The first thing I did as soon as I came out of rehab, I rang a local member in my city. And he said, don't worry, there are lots of online meetings. And I said, would you be my sponsor? And he said, yes, but you will have to listen what I'm going to tell you. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I started working on steps on phone, reading big book with this guy on phone.
Yep.
So on Zoom, I was doing meetings online on Zoom. I'm doing service online. And I literally followed whatever he said. I was cursing every day the God that I can't go back to Australia. I don't belong here. I'm supposed to be working so I can pay off mortgage. I can pay off child support. I can live a life. I'm not drinking anymore. But I couldn't fly back because there were no flights then. 1 whole year in India, doing online meeting, watching my father getting drunk every day. He was right sitting in front of me. He was getting drunk and I was doing online meeting. That's how 1 year I spent in India.
If you get through that, you can get through anything, eh?
No, it was still tough. But after my first birthday, the flights started back. My sponsor then asked me, I don't care you find a job or anything. Once you get back there, find first thing a meeting. Find a local sponsor. I'm still going to be there in your life whenever you want me. But I want you to have a local sponsor and start working with steps. And that's the first thing I did. I came to Ingleburn, started living, because this place was on rent. I started living with my friend. The family was kind enough to take me in. I started living with them. First thing I found, which is the closest AA meeting, that was the Mount Annan one. I rang Belinda. She had the phone then. Straight away, she gave me the address. And that was the first meeting I did once I get back here. No, I had to stay 15 days in a hotel in city.
No, isolation.
I forget the best part of it.
The best part of it.
Yeah, because I got into this hotel because I had from airport, they put me in a bus. That bus dropped into this hotel in city.
Yeah. And
there was one room. They gave me a menu card. You are allowed to have six standard drinks every day. Yeah, and food was
$10
given.
at work. Oh, I love it.
And I had to pay $3,000 for it.
Oh, man.
for 15 days. They call quarantine or something.
Yeah, they're quarantined. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to
Oh,
stay there for
God.
15 days.
What a
And I was
crazy
scared.
time.
1 year sober. I was scared.
Isolated. Yeah.
But I had the still same book. I had no contacts at all from Australian AA members. But I only had one number, the person who had given me the big book.
Yep.
That was written in the big book. I rang this guy.
Yep.
And this guy said, okay, don't worry about that. You're not going to drink. I want you to ring me every day 6:30 in the morning. And I'll ring you back 7:30 in after evening. Okay. And that person did exactly the same what he said. And I was talking to this guy every day. And that saved my 15 days.
There you go.
I'm going to Ingleburn to my friend's place, and the first thing I'm going to do meeting. And then I rang Belinda, got into the meeting. I liked someone in the Mount Allen group that, this person must be my sponsor. I asked him straight away. He said, that's it. We're starting Big Book.
Yeah.
We're going to start from first page. And yeah, that wise man, he's just a fatherly figure in my life. He took me through the steps. He's still my sponsor. And that's how our journey started. And grace of God, wonderful group, such a lovely people in my home group. That's become my home group. Very close, supportive, and I know that everyone loves me and everyone cares me there. So yeah, that's how it started. Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who are struggling with alcohol?
Well, I still believe I'm new. It's my everyday business. I have to work on the steps and do the meetings. And yeah, well, the only doubt I had in my mind that how it's going to work, I can't stop by myself. And the thing I have heard in the room keep coming back, this works, miracle happens. Yeah, it happened to me. I just stuck with you guys, stuck with A. First few years, a couple of years, I struggled a lot. I wasn't working on steps, but I stayed there. I picked up phone, and whenever I was in struggle, I rang my sponsor, and somehow I was saved. I don't know how. And after working steps, life changed. But my advice is, all I can say, just come to the meeting, listen to the members. No, there's no restrictions. They just advise you the thing. There's no hard and fast rule in AA. They've suggested the things. I still sometimes don't follow everything what's suggested, but I try my best to put in my life what they are suggesting. And so far, I haven't picked up alcohol. And it's definitely not me. Definitely the AA fellowship. Definitely my friends in AA, my sponsor, and the God I found in AA, because I had a different religious concept of God, whereas I was introduced to a loving God in the AA, and which is definitely I witnessed in my 5 years of journey. Yeah, so the struggling alcoholics, all I can say, just do not have any reservations. I can talk about myself. I tried everything, psychiatrist, self-help books, everything. Nothing worked. And I was quite skeptical about AA, that only listening others, how it's going to help me. But the funny thing is, most of my answers I found in other people sharing without asking any question. Most of the answers I was baffled all my life, I found in these sharings of others. And I even didn't ask those questions.
Yeah.
But I got those answers, and that was like, I did not have I wouldn't say a spiritual awakening or anything, but it's only every now and then I have this glimpse when I hear someone sharing. That takes me my past and tells me, this is what happened with me, and that's how I reacted. And that's why it happened, because I can relate to that story. Yeah, and I was looking for differences, that I'm better than these guys, and I'm not anymore better or anyone, like just a alcoholic. Now I had to accept it. I've accepted it that I'm an alcoholic and I need help. Yeah, that's what I learned here, that nothing to be ashamed of asking for help. Yeah, that was my biggest reservation, that I can control by myself. I don't need anyone's help. But that was my delusion. I always needed help, and that's what I received in AA. I even realized in first 2 years, how did I receive, or how I'm not drinking? I was surprised by myself that I'm not drinking. And I live with that fact that it's working. But the journey actually started now when I actually getting more and more from AA. It's not about quitting alcohol now. It's more about living life on life's terms, because even in sobriety, things didn't happen accordingly what I wanted or what I expected. I got divorced. I have to go through a lot of other issues. But I didn't pick up drink over it, because AA is telling me how to live or how to face these all problems.
Yeah.
Without AA, I wouldn't have done it, that's for sure. Yeah, so my advice is just, even if you think you have a problem, you should accept it and ask for the help. And there's a free help, and more than help is a way of living. It's freely available for everyone. That's AA, at least for me, yeah.
That's outstanding. Look, thanks for your time. Do you want to lead us off with the serenity prayer?
God,
God,
grant
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thanks so much, Bhal.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Beyond Sobriety. Just before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a gentle reminder. If you happen to recognise anyone who shared their story on this podcast, I urge you to respect their anonymity and privacy. Let's create a safe space where individuals can feel empowered to share their experience without fear of judgment or disclosure. And if you found today's episode helpful or inspiring, I encourage you to share Beyond Sobriety with somebody who might benefit from it. Together we can spread awareness, support and hope to those still struggling with alcohol addiction. Remember, your feedback is invaluable to us. If you have any thoughts, suggestions or stories you'd like to share, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at beyondsobrietyaa@gmail.com. Thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, stay strong, stay sober, and remember, you're not alone in this journey. I'm Michael and I'm an alcoholic.